might as well start the show whether we're ready or not. I have food in my mouth. I haven't even read the stories yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Unbelievable.
Welcome to Blockchain Basement, the best. Well, it used to be the best daily streaming show on Twitch. Now it's just the best show that's in somebody's basement that streams live daily. You can put as many parameters as you want on it, but eventually it will be the best. So welcome back in. We've got a really good show for you guys today. Got some really, your favorite cast of characters. We got the Nictator, Crypto Sunglasses, Prepper Crypto bringing you the truth, Biscuit Jesus on the board, the lovely Hannah Hughes, and all of you guys in the chat. We're gonna have a really good show today. I can't read the chat because Nick's big butt is in the way.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Been doing
Crypto Tony, Crimson Caravan Company, Manawalk, Riddle with Puns, Razmataz, Casino Doggy, Crypto Mikey, the real Crypto Stevo. Hey, Stevo, welcome in, one of our mods from YouTube. And actually, you guys, if you were watching the morning show with BitBoy Crypto, you probably did hear me mention we are going to start taking this live on YouTube starting tomorrow. We were just talking about setting up stream keys and all that sort of stuff just a few minutes ago. Here's my my lunch for today is chicken salad with a little curry in it, so it looks a little funky, but it tastes delightful. So, a little off kilter today. I'll scoot over, but yeah, we're gonna be talking about some of the stuff we didn't get to yesterday. The Ordinals. We've got our resident Maxi in the house, or Maximalish. Ready to talk with the Ordinals. We're gonna read through that a little bit so you guys understand what's going on with NFTs on Bitcoin, as well as institutions pouring into Bitcoin. We've got some DeFi summers coming up, a DeFi play maybe on Ethereum, maybe on Cardano, so we're going to be looking at that as well. We talked a lot about Cardano AI coins on the live stream today, so if you guys are interested in that, yeah, I'll still be here. I'll be here. Drew's going to be here on Fridays, but I'll be here most of the rest of the day. So unless anything else crazy is going on,
y'all be here. Not that anybody gives a shit. Jesus, this chat.
We love you, BJ. You know they want you here. They all,
all the love, all the love.
I'm crying.
So shout out to all of you guys. It's gonna be a fun one here. So let's see if we had anything fun to start with today.
Well, I just wanted to make a side note. I saw we talked about the UK CBDCs being pushed out till 2030 yesterday. And today they came out and actually hurried that up and changed their narrative completely. So
they must be watching Blockchain Basement.
I know.
They heard oh no, that's going to take us too long.
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
What they say?
Yeah. 2025 is a new target, and
they definitely are watching the show.
Yeah, and there's actually a limit to how much you will be able to save. I think the limit's at £30,000 in your account will be the limit for your ability to save CBDCs. So
wow, they're going to cap
really
your savings. Interesting.
Yeah.
So yes, I understand what you're saying, Casino Dog. Yes, the show will still be here for the time being. And if it ever isn't, you can blame your Twitch dictators for that.
Yes.
So shout out to TikTok if we are
we're
live
on there.
TikTok.
We're on there.
Nick's on the phone in the middle of the show. Wow.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Hey.
I'm on the Blockchain Basement and I'm running this company at the same time.
I think it's AJ.
Yeah, he's one of those guys walking, two phones. That's your typical Hollywood producer right there. He's too important for even what he's doing here at the moment.
He lives it. He's the dictator.
Two phones, one cup. Or is that something different?
That's definitely something different.
Okay. Should we look it up or not?
No, we should not, BJ. Come on. That's very when was that? Like 2000? That something that was like cycling on E-Bombs World or something back in the day? It's like 2005 or something.
E-Bombs World.
Yeah.
I want to correct myself. The limit is £20,000. So you'll only be able to save
saving even less. Oh,
yeah.
I have. Oh,
that's
fantastic. Oh, gotcha.
Can you bring
Drew's
up your new picture, Drew? This is important.
Oh, you want to see my new picture?
Profile pic?
Let's go. I mean, it's really
spicy. What the? That's the guy from.
I'm afraid.
That's Gaston from
Beauty
and the Beast mixed with what is that guy from?
Giga Chad.
Like,
that's Giga Chad.
No, but what was the game? It's a team player deathmatch kind of game. 4-on-4. You got like a builder, a constructor.
Oh, Team Fortress?
Team Fortress.
Yeah.
He looks like the guy from Team Fortress.
Really? I
Yeah.
gotta watch it. I gotta figure that out. No, it just spoke to me. I saw the picture. I was like, "This is me. This is how I feel inside all the time." So
You change your profile picture more than some people change their underwear.
More than
Yeah.
Kobe.
yeah. Well, I don't have too many followers. No one's watching. So.
I'm watching. I see. I'm watching all you guys all the time. I see everything you do on the socials.
61 people on Blockchain Basement.
All right,
on
Blockchain
TikTok.
Basement. Shout out to the TikTok. Shout out to the Twitchverse. YouTube coming soon. We love you guys there. If you are there watching us on YouTube, give us a like, give us a comment. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about more. Give us a subscribe. I still notice all of you guys watching, not all of you guys subscribing. So,
Oh, no.
no
We
big
know.
deal. We still love you. We love you anyway. We're here to bring the news. Bitcoin on a slight pump on the Jerome Powell news. Moved up a little bit from where we were, kind of up 0.5%. It was dipping down below 22. Obviously, the big news of the day, we've got Singularity Net continuing to pump, probably at a near resistance right now. Oh, excuse me, 200% for the week. That's pretty dramatic. The graph, obviously another fan favorite down here in the basement. I know.
Shout out to Gemini for still stealing all my graph back.
Actually, on that note,
Yeah,
somewhere
we'll
in
see.
here,
They're
you're
gonna
getting
give
it
me
back.
my-
I don't know. Here you go. We'll go right there on that. Thanks for the segue, even though that wasn't the main thing we're going to talk about today. We got Cameron Winklevoss, and one thing I appreciate, Gemini is, I think, going to take better care of their customers than a lot of these other peoples that have gone through these insolvencies.
We'll see.
So today, Gemini reached an agreement in principle with Genesis Global. These are for Nick, he's referencing Gemini Earn, where a lot of retail customers had set crypto to be gaining, earning rewards through that rewards program. That was handled in the back end by Genesis Capital, who then went insolvent and locked up everybody's money. And so obviously Gemini very upset trying to recover that. They've been working tirelessly to get it back. So DCG and other creditors are now on a plan that provides a path for Earn users to recover their assets. This agreement was announced in bankruptcy court today. This was yesterday. The plan, or last night, the plan is critical step forward towards a substantial recovery of assets for all Genesis creditors.
Yeah.
In addition, Gemini will be contributing. So this is in addition to what they're going to recover from the bankruptcy. Gemini themselves are contributing up to $100 million more for Earn users as part of the plan. This is basically dipping into their own pocket, further demonstrating Gemini's continued commitment to helping Earn users achieve full recovery. And I think that's pretty big right there. Not a lot of other people even have a shot at full recovery. You're talking, you're doing pretty good to get 50, 60. I mean, anybody that's getting anywhere close to 50% of their funds back on a lot of these insolvent platforms should be counting themselves lucky. What we lost on Celsius, I think we'll be doing good if we get 25% back, if anything back.
Yep.
So the fact that they're going for full recovery means a lot. There's still a lot of work to be done to complete the process, including further due diligence of the Genesis financials, meaning we're not done going after Genesis. We're still trying to soak them for everything we can. Thank you for putting your trust in during this challenging time. And as a direct result of this, we've got DCG selling holdings in several Grayscale trusts, Financial Times. So we talked about this story a lot as it was unfolding. I just wanted to kind of wrap this up. This is positive for the market, and this is kind of what I was talking about when I was saying I feel good that the bottom's in. Most of the negative news has happened, and it's only going to start to get better. People, whether you're getting 25% back, 50% back, 100% back, people are going to start to get their funds back, which I think is all positive and encourages and builds more trust and all that sort of stuff. So Digital Currency Group has started selling holdings in several investment vehicles run by subsidiaries and digital asset managers. Grayscale at a steep discount according to financial terms. So they're selling shares in their Grayscale. They own tons of shares in the Grayscale trusts, whether it's Bitcoin, whether there's a variety of other assets they have trusts in. They're not liquidating Grayscale. Grayscale isn't under any fears of going insolvent. It's protected from bankruptcy. It is a trust, so if you guys know the way those, we're not lawyers here, obviously, but if you understand how trusts work, that is a big factor in protecting the assets by design. That's the way they function. So Digital Currency Group is having to liquidate some of their shares, but it doesn't mean if you have shares in Grayscale, I'm going to get I'm going to lose my funds or anything like that. So Nick, hopefully you get all of your funds back. So
There's hope.
TikTok is asking if you are Justin Timberlake.
Hey,
me?
Yeah, you.
Not that
I'll take it, but no, not even close.
That's an amazing compliment.
I will take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that all day.
Have you seen JT live?
I actually have seen JT
He's
live.
pretty good.
He's a great performer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a hell of
he
a
is
singer.
a entertainer
Yes.
of the highest caliber.
Yep. Yeah. Have you? I assume you've seen him live as well.
Yeah. So I'm here in Atlanta.
Yeah. Exactly. Where did I think I might have seen him in Atlanta too, at the Mercedes-Benz. Was that Mercedes-Benz?
It was PNC.
Hmm.
Is where the Hawks play, is where I saw
Oh,
him.
the arena. Yeah.
Yeah.
State Farm.
Yeah, we're on TikTok, Corey. Come on, man.
You know what? Chinese spy balloons my butt. We'll just give all our data to TikTok and China right off the rip.
They already
welcome.
have
China,
You can
pump my
have it.
bags.
Yeah, welcome
Pump
in
it.
China. We love you guys. So,
I
we
followed
don't
you
love this-
back.
Well, I'm not going to even go there. That's
Do
a
it.
fast
Go
way.
there.
Well, that's a fast way to get banned on TikTok. You start
Oh,
taking
yeah,
shots.
yeah.
No.
You can't take shots at the overlords. You just have. You can acknowledge their presence. You just can't say, a certain three letter.
You can't say a lot
Acronym.
of
You can't
stuff.
say a lot. You can't say Falun Gong. You
Wait,
can't
we
say-
can't
Well,
say-
don't say all the
Don't
stuff we
say
can't
what
say.
I can't say.
Come
Are
on,
the three
Nick.
letters HOT?
HOC.
No, they're not.
We
They're
need
not.
the poo.
And shout out to you guys. Let us know if you have any questions. Yeah, that's it. Blaze got it. If you have any questions in the chat, you throw them out to us. Hannah will read them off as we're going through, and just stop me at any point if we have any good questions, because it's more fun to talk with you guys and answer questions than it is to read through stories. But there is some news that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about these ordinals a little bit because we got Nick here to talk about it. I was saying when it first came up, I was hoping the whole thing would just kind of blow over. It's definitely not. I feel like a lot of people got triggered, and it added more fuel to the fire for people to just troll. But there's some interesting kind of nuances, long-term effects of what this goes, and we've got a story on that, like how Bitcoin NFTs might accidentally fix Bitcoin's security budget. A lot of people, one of the main questions you get about Bitcoin is what happens after you get to 2140 when there's no more block subsidy, or block reward as a lot of people call it. Will the fees be enough incentive for miners to keep mining? And that's what this story kind of touches on. But real quick, let me just break down what an ordinal is. It's a pretty good thread from Trust Machine explaining how you can do NFTs on Bitcoin. I'll read through that, and then we can all talk about what our opinions on it. Doesn't matter, like Razmataz says, Ordinals, worst sports team. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. That's good. Like an Orioles joke. I
Have
guess.
they ever won anything ever?
Okay, you can have NFTs on Bitcoin today, and here's how it works. What are ordinals? Bitcoin ordinals are a numbering scheme that ascribes a number to each Satoshi on the Bitcoin network, which is, not like numbering every Bitcoin, but literally numbering every single Satoshi. Through ordinals, sats are assigned a number in the order they are mined. Even if a sat moves to a different wallet, its ordinal number stays the same, which is, again, it makes not all Bitcoins the same. They're not fungible, which is, again, how you get to this NFT, non-fungible token. So what about inscriptions? Bitcoin inscriptions are creating a lot of buzz and revitalizing conversations about Bitcoin native NFTs. Since each sat on the network will always have the same ordinal, this is where the non-fungible aspect comes into play. And then he's referencing Hal Finney here, which, again, you guys should all know who Hal Finney is. I was very upset nobody knew what his legs looked like. It was a very famous picture. He's a runner. This is a very famous tweet from January 11th, 2009, when he said running Bitcoin. This is right at the beginning of the Bitcoin network. He was the first one to interact with Satoshi. Maybe some people think he might have been part of the group that was Satoshi.
Yep.
Yep. One of the OGs, cypherpunks in the space. Definitely, you guys should know who he is, what he's about, what he
How much
stood
have people
for.
tried to mess around with the name Satoshi and seeing if it's an acronym? Like
A ton.
Yeah.
There's
there's
like
no
the whole
F.
what is it? Samsung, Mitsubishi. There's people put these three letters. Oh, that creates Satoshi, and there were the way they got to Dorian Nakamoto, who was if you Google Satoshi, that face that comes up most of the time. They did this whole big investigation trying to figure out who Satoshi was, and
wasn't some just random dude?
yeah, it was Dorian Nakamoto who happened to live in a certain area. They did tons of research, and then he got so much news and press and everybody thinking it was him. He basically said it ruined his life.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I met him actually at a Bitcoin conference one time. He's a pretty fun guy. He's rolling with the punches now, but at the time, got a lot of flack for being Satoshi, and he wasn't. So I've been disproven to this point. Again, there's a handful of people that are still in the discussion. Adam Back, is not Zabo. I can't remember the other ones. Hal Finney. There's 3 or 4 that are still alive that could be in it, and there's 2 or 3 that have recently passed or since passed that could also likely have been Satoshi, but definitely not Craig Wright. That's the one thing we do know. He was there at the beginning. He was involved, but definitely not Satoshi, even though he's been claiming that for years and fighting court battles. So he's probably going to send me a letter just for saying that.
Yeah.
All right,
Come
so
at
going back to this, where is the file stored? Recently, it was discovered that by utilizing a design quirk of Taproot, so Taproot was a kind of, I would say it's probably the most recent Bitcoin improvement proposal that's been implemented.
Yep,
it is, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it happened, 6 months ago, you'd say, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah, around 6 months ago. You can essentially inscribe a file that is less than 4 megabytes per megabyte Bitcoin's block size onto an individual Satoshi, meaning you could have a file on each Satoshi. Inscriptions are made on sats, which are tracked and transferred using ordinal theory, which gives sats individual identities and allows them to be tracked and transferred across transactions.
That's gonna have to be so small. I didn't realize that block size 4 megabytes.
Yes.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the big thing, and that's what we get to here, because once you start doing this, you start maximizing block size and block space for value for miners, and it just starts getting. But it's with stuff that isn't, it's JPEGs. It's not a financial transaction. So, and that the block size wars was a big part. If you don't know the hash wars between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, Roger Ver, that big split that happened in 2017. A lot of that was all around block size, and big part of the miners in the group thought they should be pulling or making the block size bigger. Many other people said, no, we should just figure out more efficient ways to facilitate transactions. Basically, how do we scale Bitcoin? Big divide in the space. That's how we ended up with Bitcoin Cash. Again, more history for you guys. Go dig into that one. Because of the inscriptions, because of this, inscriptions are just as durable, immutable, secure, and decentralized as Bitcoin itself. Meaning, I skipped this part. The file gets... These inscriptions are eventually processed as a regular Bitcoin transaction. That means the file gets stored directly on the blockchain. Oof. Because of these inscriptions are just as durable, immutable, and secure and decentralized as Bitcoin itself. While many are referring to this as Bitcoin NFTs, Ordinals.com is quick to point out that these are more comparable to digital artifacts because the entire file lives on the blockchain and doesn't point to off-chain sources such as PFS. So like if you guys don't know, a lot of the NFTs on Ethereum aren't necessarily stored on Ethereum. They're stored on Amazon web servers and different places, and you're pointing to data that gets referenced and then it gets transferred over the blockchain, but it's not, the data itself isn't necessarily stored on the Ethereum blockchain.
What's funny here is NFTs as we know them are not NFTs. This actually isn't an NFT because it's stored on chain.
It is stored on chain. Yeah, exactly. It is stored. Now there are other places like ICP and some of these other projects that are storing the data on chain. And
Arweave.
Arweave is another one. And that's again why we've got projects like Filecoin out there trying to handle the data storage problem within the blockchain space. But so this is technically like BJ mentioned, it is much more what an NFT is in your head, than what actually people are doing in reality. What this does, it increased utility on the Bitcoin. This is their thesis. It's increased utility on the Bitcoin network is usually seen as a good thing. More utility usually drives more usage. More usage usually drives more transactions. More transactions usually means more fees paid to miners. More fees helps incentivize the whole system. That's kind of the concept. Hey, we've got a whole new utility for Bitcoin now is the way they're presenting it. And we're all here to grow Bitcoin ecosystem, right? Well, not everyone is happy about this new development. Some aren't a fan of what can now be seen as the way to clog the network with non-financial transactions. What does it say? Ordinals were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they never stopped to think if they should. Yep. I agree with that.
That's my spirit animal right there.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apartments.com.
Love that guy.
Each individual Bitcoin inscription requires a transaction fee. This is in contrast with Ethereum, where you can mint thousands of NFTs in a single block. The ability to quote unquote spam the Bitcoin network with thousands of unavailable NFTs comes at a theoretical much higher cost. So this concept right here, what they're talking about, spamming the network with non-financial transactions, is part of why people might refer to it as an attack on Bitcoin. This might be an attack vector where if you just clog up the whole network with a bunch of junk at a pretty low cost to attack, then it could disincentivize people for using Bitcoin for value transfer, store of value, all that sort of stuff. And again, I want to get Nick's opinion on this because I know he's got a couple. So we're going to come back to that in just a second. I think this is a long thread. Also of note, the place where these inscriptions, transactions data is stored, witness data receives a discount compared to more normal Bitcoin transactions. These issues are still relatively minor, though. As of this writing, there's less than 350 total inscriptions on Ordinals. Again, most of this, I feel like, is people excited about the fact that they can do it. Also, Udi, a little bit of trolling, I feel like, is going on against the Bitcoin Maximus because they got so upset. He's just like, hey,
Udi is an idiot.
This makes you mad? Like, let's do it again. And that's part, that will always exist on any network. That's something I learned pretty early on of like, even if there's not a financial incentive to attack something, even if somebody's losing money, people are willing to spend money just to troll because there's a lot of trolls out there. And, just we're not going to start digging into troll psychology. I'm sure we could talk about that for an entire hour, but
kindergarten never went away. It just became Reddit.
Exactly. Reddit, or all sorts of other places.
Twitch.
Yeah. Keep an eye on some of those questions because I'm not watching the chat. So if you guys see anything good, just stop me.
Yeah.
Okay, regardless of what side you're on, these inscriptions are at a technical level legitimate Bitcoin transactions, plus having the ability to store data on something as rock solid as the Bitcoin blockchain certainly has its use cases, and these are being explored in real time. And then the rest, you can, I'll retweet this thread if you guys want to get into it. But real quick, Nick, what is your kind of 2 cents on a lot of this stuff? Because here's the two theories. One, hey, it's something new and new utility coming to Bitcoin. Two, you're going to clog the network with spam and junk. Like, what if somebody mints, bad stuff on the blockchain forever, and there's nothing anybody can do to get rid of it?
Yep.
I mean, we're not talking videos yet. I mean, it's too small. I don't think they could even do videos, but pictures and images that would be basically permanently inscribed on the Bitcoin blockchain. Take it away, Crypto Sunglasses.
So, first of all, Udi Wertheimer is an idiot. He's the guy who says seed phrases are too complicated and are bad for crypto. And yet he will go and inscribe something on the Bitcoin blockchain, which, mind you, is not easy. This is not like going on OpenSea and hitting mint.
It's very technically challenging.
You have to like get into a lot. So Udi Wertheimer, stupid person. Number two.
Fed, not a Fed? Any theories on that?
He's a Fed.
You think he's a Fed?
probably
He's a Fed.
So you think it's an attack on Bitcoin? 'Cause
Corey-
he used to be kind of a maximalist.
Yeah.
And then he flipped. Then he's just kind of like picking apart all their arguments again, not necessarily on an intellectually honest level.
It's not,
sometimes.
no.
Sometimes it is, but, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, I think Corey Rodarmer, a Fed, for sure. 100%.
Interesting.
This is one of the few times that like Jimmy Song and I have actually aligned because he's come out really hard against it. And yeah, look, abusive. If you are the CIA and you get a note from Janet Yellen saying, "Hey, I would like to delegitimize Bitcoin," and then the CIA, they've got a lot of abusive images of children because that's kind of their thing, right? They can just literally use the full weight of the deep state to upload terabytes of images to the Bitcoin blockchain, and they're there forever. So I'm less concerned about it clogging the network because I think someone did the math, and if there's a block every 10 or 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, and they're 4 mega piece, you're only adding like 7. If they're all full, you're only adding 17 gigabytes like a day or a month or something like that. It's really, I think it's a month. So it's not that, you're not really like making the blocks, the actual master node, you're not making the master node that much bigger.
Master ledger.
No, so if you're running a node, you have to download the entire ledger. That's what I'm talking about.
Copy.
Yeah. So right now it's just under 500 gigabytes. So it will not inflate in size that much, but people who are actually trying to transact on Bitcoin will have to wait a long time if there's a bunch of NFT bros uploading JPEGs of Pepes. And God forbid you get a bad actor like the United States government who's just sitting there with a giant server, and as soon as a block comes up, they're just downloading abusive images onto the block so no one can do anything. And now you have a blockchain which is full of CP and no one wants to do business with it anymore. Yep. So you've changed the narrative from Bitcoin is for criminals, which is easy to debunk, to Bitcoin is full of pornography. Now that's a much, much more difficult thing to get normies to get over.
Yep.
So this is a complete bad idea for Bitcoin. It has to stop. People need to stop.
Well, let me ask you this.
So
the way they proposed stopping this was trying to get miners to censor transactions. That's what, like, specifically Adam Back even said, like, hey, miners shouldn't be mining blocks that have this stuff in it.
So censor a decentralized immutable ledger.
Right. And that's kind of the argument I have. Permissionless cuts both ways. If you want it to be open and permissionless,
you're right.
You can't be trying to get miners to, group together.
Yeah.
And the fact that people don't even realize it is feasibly possible. If you get basically what he's saying is you get these pools, a handful of pools to stop mining these transactions, very similar to what was going on with the Ethereum network not too long ago, that they were all pointing and laughing at Ethereum about. Now they're having a similar discussion about censoring transactions. And that's where I have an issue of, like, I don't think they should be censoring transactions. So what would you say? You have any ideas? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot for like an actual fix here for Bitcoin. Because obviously I love Bitcoin. I'm a huge Bitcoin fan. But if this is a legitimate attack vector on Bitcoin, should people be afraid of something like this happening and Bitcoin losing value in 5-10 years?
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack there. The censorship angle, that is a illegitimate emotional cudgel that's being used to silence opposition, because it's not censorship. It is merely keeping Bitcoin focused on its core purpose, which is financial transactions. That's different than censorship. That's a governing authority which has the power to put you in jail or kill you, taking away your free speech rights. This is the Bitcoin white paper. It's supposed to be about transactions. It's supposed to be about money. It's literally the word money is in the white paper. And on the one hand, you'll get these Bitcoin maxis who say, oh, Ethereum, they don't know what they want to be. Are they the world computer or are they ultrasound money? Meh. They're so stupid. Well, then what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is powerful because it's focused.
I agree.
And if the white paper is up to interpretation, if you could do whatever you want and it's just kind of like a free-for-all, then let's just go to proof of stake and remove 21 million. Right. Like seriously, like I was DMing someone who's been on around the blockchain. I highly respect him. I said, "Do you see a problem with this?" He was like, "It's just capitalism." I'm like, "Okay, well, if you don't have a base layer for financial transactions, then what are we doing here, folks?"
Well, I mean, I tend to agree. I tend to agree that it is capitalism. What I would suggest is if the core developers have a problem with it, there's no problem with keeping the chain focused. They need to
fork the chain.
Well, they need to submit a Bitcoin improvement proposal that has a fix that would disallow Ordinals to do this sort of thing. Now, I don't know how much. I'm not a technical developer. I don't know how much that would affect the core operations of Bitcoin, because obviously part of what makes Bitcoin valuable, it's slow, it doesn't change too much. I don't know if that's Chemistry Brothers said that's what he said. I didn't see. Why not just make like a BTC sidechain just for BTC NFTs? Yes, or why
they
not?
are. I mean, that's what Stacks is.
Well, I mean, yeah, Stacks is, but that's what's funny is the maxis hate Stacks because they say it's not Bitcoin. And Lightning Network, technically, in my opinion, is basically a sidechain or a layer 2 is what, it's not necessarily on-chain transactions. So there is a way to make this possible on Bitcoin, but traditionally, a lot of people didn't want to. The smartest people in the world, generally speaking, programmers, developers wise, they're working on Bitcoin, in my opinion. Like they have the highest intelligent developer pool out there. They can solve this problem and now they are actually incentivized to do so. So that's why I didn't want to spend too much time on it, because this is kind of a blip. I think it's interesting, but it will get solved, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be all that dramatic as we go forward.
Hope so soon.
What were you going to say? You hope so soon?
Yeah, I mean, because the Bitcoin maxis, they always make fun of Ethereum because Vitalik is the change the code guy.
Yeah.
And he's not the code is law guy. Well, then what is Bitcoin? Are we just going to change the code whenever we want and have it be NFTs? Are we going to change the purpose of Bitcoin? No. Or are we going to stick to the white paper? And yeah, if you call me an ideologue, you think you're saying I'm being too political. Have you read the fucking white paper? It's a political document.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Shouldn't we not have BIPs at all then?
No, we should, and they should be voted on democratically, but the community should stick to its principles. And if you're not sticking to your principles, then we're just Ethereum Classic, then we're just Ethereum.
I don't know. That's a tough one, because that was Roger Ver's argument on, if you read, what's the headline of a Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Yeah. And there's no way right now, generally, that it functions as a cash system because, and it's not fungible.
And that's the spirit of Lightning. And I get it. I understand that. And that is a principled argument that the Bitcoin community had in itself. And they've worked that out. NFTs are not a currency. They're literally the opposite of that. So if they're not a currency or they're not a form of money, get out.
Yeah. Well, do you have any thoughts or takes on that?
20,000 other blockchains to dick around with.
It's basically, he technically summed up my thoughts on this. This is a get off my lawn moment for me. Like, it has a lot of danger with those images that can be uploaded. And I know that there's bad actors and nation states that want this system to fail so that they can have full control of their CBDC plan. And that's Bitcoin is not a wonderful item talked about by, the Bank of International Settlements, the World Economic Forum. They all have a gripe against it's not necessarily privacy, but the immutability of Bitcoin. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a 6D chess psyop, in my opinion, to basically muddy up our waters. And I feel like it needs to get off my lawn is how I feel. Like there's chains that we're creating for NFTs, for these pictures, I didn't touch NFTs through the last bull run. I thought they're all hype. Now I'm seeing, like gated access type ability or gamified access. for them. So there's slight use case for them, but for the love of God, we have to keep, I'm always talking about there has to be a reason that a coin exists and that it's focused on. There's got to be a focused utility for it. And it's going to take a bunch of different systems to make this whole ecosystem come together in an electronic form 20 years from now. And so if we try to do everything on one chain, it's all going to fall apart. We need to keep these focused, Bitcoin for transactions. Solana is going to be heavy in NFTs. I feel like, Ethereum for, smart contracts and institutional usage. But yeah, and like the layer 2s are going to be used for retail, I feel like, in their transactions and just, memorabilia from Starbucks or whatever.
You made a good point there on the different types of people that use different types of things. Real quick, just wanted to say shout out Jacob Crypto. He said he downloaded Twitch just so he could finally watch live.
Yeah.
We're watching on YouTube from the beginning. Big fan of the show. Appreciate that, Jacob. Like I said, we're trying to get it. We're going to be getting it live to you very soon as well. But like what you just mentioned there is there's different types of chains and for different types of people, whether it's layer 1, layer 2, whether you're talking Lightning, Bitcoin, whether you're talking Ethereum, Cardano, all sorts of different things. Yeah. And this is a question I was going to have for you, Hannah, especially as the younger generation is coming up, they're a lot more cause driven, purpose driven, like to Nick's point, if the rumor started coming out that there's all kinds of abusive images on the Bitcoin blockchain, that would be a pretty strong motivator probably for a lot of people not to use Bitcoin and to use something else. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. That would create a lot of negative information on Twitter.
Right, exactly.
For sure.
And TikTok and that turns into a network effect pretty quickly. And a lot of people you've said it in the chat too. There's plenty of other networks to do plenty of other things. Why are you trying to do NFTs on Bitcoin? Which I tend to agree with that. Like, again, this is very difficult to do technically. There's not a huge incentive to do it financially. So I do tend to think it will dissipate other than, a potential attack, which again, if it starts to become an issue, I think they'll submit a Bitcoin improvement proposal, push something through. But getting consensus from all those miners, that's going to be an interesting one because the miners are who really drive and control the network. And realistically, they're making more mining these transactions because they're actually full blocks. They're getting, those small, it's very negligible. They're getting a small amount more. So they'd have to believe this is an actual threat to the entire chain. Yep. Which I think you could make that case pretty strongly and get that improvement proposal going. So somebody did ask about AI coins in there. I know you guys have been doing some research on up and coming AI coins, and somebody asked, what was it, like one that would be a top performer or something like that?
Crypto Stevo said, "What AI coin will rise to the top in market cap in 3 to 4 years?"
Singularity Net.
So BJ's vote Singularity Net. We know he's a big Cardano. Cardano. We've talked about that yesterday. It's one of the biggest pumpers right now.
He stole my answer.
3 to 5 years. That's a tough one. So Nick,
that's a lot of development time.
It's been around since Singularity's been around.
I'm saying for a newcomer.
Yeah. Well, and Singularity's been around since 2018. Strong connections between Gertzel and Hoskinson. Ben was talking about that this morning. Yep. What are some of the lesser known ones, or outside of Singularity, outside of Fetch? Any other ones that come to mind for you, Nick?
Yeah, there's ALI, Alethea. So they're a AI metaverse token. You'd build like some type of kiosk or something very Blade Runner-esque. And there would be an AI with an avatar. So that's what they're making. There's Cortex, which is actually a proof of work open source AI blockchain. But they are not very mineable, and they're falling on hard times. So like they're a big as far as market cap goes when it comes to mineable coins, but I would stay really, really far away from them. Even though their token price is pumping a lot just because they are an AI project. Don't be fooled. Cortex is not doing well. There's also XYO, which is
That's
not
AI coin?
So it's not AI, but it is AI adjacent, because what it does is it takes positional data from smart devices and puts them onto the blockchain. So all the little accelerometers and gyroscopes and stuff that are in like the Boston Dynamics thing, like they'll put that on the blockchain. That's what XYO does.
Interesting.
So, it's backed by gigantic companies.
And there is a slight separation between AI and machine learning. We got the machine. There's a lot of projects that will benefit from machine learning, which I mean, some people consider that AI, some people don't. So just something to keep an eye on there, like the graph and some of these other ones we've mentioned too. Like you're going to use AI and machine learning to index all of these different things. We were talking about how AI could code and all that sort of stuff in the future. So
Numeraire is an interesting project.
It
The
is.
tokenomics suck.
Yeah.
Don't buy the token.
Well, and somebody said, crypto sub method. I'm betting that the top AI coin isn't created yet. Call me an optimist. I tend to agree with that.
Totally.
This is something I think I've said it on this show. We were definitely talking about it this morning to be careful of when you're talking about these hot new niches. They get a lot of hype. They get a lot of speculation. We covered a story, everybody in the VC world speculating on AI projects, stocks, and crypto. So it's all speculation right now. Nobody really knows what's going to hit. There's going to be a lot of innovation that comes out of that. And it's kind of one of those move fast and break things kind of concept where they're just throwing a lot of stuff out there. People will make innovations, but they likely will. A lot of these projects will fail. I compare it to the gaming token niche. I think it's going to be one of the strongest niches or niches, as somebody said in the earlier chat this morning. I say niche, you can say niche. I don't care. Tomato.
I really liked what you guys were saying about that in the morning show too, about taking your profits on the hype cycle, take advantage of the hype cycle. Don't get married to these things. This is a fast moving technology. It's learning way faster than we sit here and can look up these different coins and stuff like that. So by the time the media is telling you about it, just as Ben said, it's down 20% the day after you bought it because you saw the headline yesterday. So you have to be positioned ahead of these things. That's why I'm super big into DAG and layer zeros, because I want the data communication between these things that's not being talked about yet. So
what's that cheesy phrase? Buy them, trade them, don't date them.
Yeah, exactly. And buy the rumor, sell the news is another one, because that will sum up. I mean, it's much more longer arc when you're talking about a couple of year cycle, but buy the rumor, sell the news. Everybody's buying the rumor on AI right now. And then when the news of something actually comes out, it's going to be very like, oh, that's what they're doing. Like, meh. Okay, I'm going to move on. Yeah. So I would just say be careful there. I wanted to see if they had an AI.
I'm almost afraid that stuff like Ajax or whatever is going to get bought. And then then they're going to nullify the token.
It's very potential.
Why would they nullify the token? Help me understand.
Because they would turn it into a private blockchain.
And then they don't want the token? They don't want the token?
Just like that
Simba
if
Microsoft sees some cool stuff the Singularity DAO is doing, why would they keep it? Why would they keep a token, open themselves up to that?
Interesting. Well, I mean, if once the regulation,
I could be wrong.
I mean, I understand the theory there, but if regulation comes in and clear, like we just saw with the library case, which set some insane precedent that once the token has circulation, there's really there's no harm to it. You're not getting penalized as an unregistered security because the token's already out there. So that almost, in my mind, makes more incentive to purchase projects that have circulating tokens and then let that value. Can you imagine if you acquire a lot of these things, you buy the tokens on the open market, then Microsoft goes and buy it, they're going to pump. It's going to pump. Or an Amazon, for example, was to acquire one of these major projects, and then that pumps the token. That just instantly pushes their asset up just on the news of them doing what they knew, something they have complete control over. So, but it does, there's a lot of other trade-offs too, to different, it's kind of like taking a company public. Obviously, there's a lot of upside to it, but there's also a lot of potential downside to it, if you don't know what you're doing. So,
best comment ever, by the way.
Best comment
Crimson
ever.
Caravan says, I got carded at the liquor store and my Blockbuster card accidentally fell out. Cashier said, never mind.
That's amazing. Why that you still carry, like, having a Blockbuster card, kind of cool. Still carrying it around, kind of questionable. Why? Just to flex on people?
Memorabilia at this point.
Yeah, it is. That's a collectible. Mint that on the Bitcoin blockchain.
I miss Blockbuster, man. That place was awesome when I was a kid.
Well, I was gonna say, like, we had that middle school birthday party. I keep talking about the paintball and pizza, but we didn't actually eat pizza. It just sounds better when I say
I had pizza on the way home. I went to Little Caesars.
Tacos,
you guys don't know you're in the presence of a local Donkey Kong 64 Blockbuster tournament champion.
No way. Tournament champion.
Tournament champion.
yeah.
I hope you're talking about yourself.
No. Local Cary, North Carolina. I won that store. I was #1 player.
I have a lot more respect for you now, actually.
Donkey Kong Country 64. Where you at? Best
Yeah.
game ever. Video game donkey.
I loved Super Nintendo just
Yeah.
playing Donkey
What about
Kong.
Turok? No one ever talks about
Turok.
Turok.
The dinosaur hunter.
Underrated.
Underrated game for
Very.
sure.
Underrated. The
Overrated.
tech bow. Once you got a tech bow, done. Game over.
LJGG says Dr. Nick Respect. I like that. That's a good one.
Nick Res-
Are you guys invested in any Doge or Shiba?
I have some that
Bud
I really
Light.
hate.
Just curious, and if yes or no, what are your thoughts on Elon trying to influence and drive people and engage with these prices? Hannah, you want to answer that one?
I have a little bit of Doge just in case. I
There you
think, you know,
Smart.
What
you
about
never know what Elon's going to do.
Yeah, what about thoughts on Elon trying to drive, people to engage with the projects?
He
Influence
could.
people. Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
I think
Twitter.
it's his own entertainment. I mean, it's a meme coin and it's supposed to be there for entertainment. If you want to be entertained, like she said, it doesn't hurt to have a little bit to hold. You never know what's going to happen. If I'm partial to Doge over SHIB, if I had to choose, I don't hold either one. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Also,
Ocarina of
Razzmatazz, get out.
Time, another great game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Homo-
we could do this. This is not the gaming
Yeah.
stream, but we
No,
can do
but I'm
this all
saying,
day.
yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
None of the Home Alone games were good.
Wait,
None.
what?
No,
None
no,
of them. Razzmatazz, you're
No.
drunk. Go
Yeah.
No,
home.
you're on.
Well, and to be fair, other than Sonic, Sega didn't really have a lot of games. They had great hardware, horrible software.
Yeah.
Dreamcast was great.
Dreamcast, well, their hardware was way ahead of the Game Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way ahead of the Game Boy when you had a backlit screen, you had
Yeah.
full color. I mean,
15
it was like
minutes of battery life?
Yeah, it was,
Hell yeah.
no, but I mean, if anybody played a Game Boy, you're sitting there with your own little light in the
Yeah.
corner. You had those stupid little attachment lights, and this thing was backlit,
With the
full
magnifying
color.
glass?
You know, all that
amazing.
kind of stuff. But the games just never, the IP never kept up with it. And it was the same with Dreamcast. Dreamcast way ahead on graphics, on memory cards and interchangeable stuff on the hardware side. But they just couldn't. They had some okay games. I love Soul Calibur and some of those
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
things.
Do I
That's when
need
I
to
first started playing NBA. It wasn't 2K. It wasn't even 2K back then. It was like NBA 98 or something like that.
Yeah.
Was on Dreamcast. Playing on the
Exactly.
street mode and don't put that. Evil
Hey,
on.
+1 in the chat if you had to get up and walk to your TV to change the channel.
Hell yeah. Do I need to speedrun Super Mario Brothers 3 live for chat one day?
Yeah,
First of all,
on Hit
Super
Network
Mario
Gaming.
Brothers 2 is the superior Mario Brothers game.
Well, I can't speedrun that one.
Which is the one? 3 is the one where you got the raccoon hat, right?
Yeah.
You can
Yep.
fly. I don't know. That was pretty
Tanuki suit,
legit.
bruh.
That was
was
pretty
good.
legit.
Super Mario World better than Super Mario 3.
Super Smash Brothers.
Wow.
End all be all.
The
Amazing.
evolution of gaming is a great
Wow, there's a lot of
comparison,
old people
though.
in the chat.
I love talking and remembering the games
I
and
know.
how these things changed so, over time. Like we thought that's what it was. And
Live, yeah.
it's really comparable to
Live.
like blockchain and these new systems being developed.
true.
And it matters what partnerships,
Road
what
Rash.
good games they had, man. Like that's what sets it up.
Well, and that shows the team and the tech
Yep.
and the brand all matter. Nintendo has held their brand almost better than anybody.
For sure.
Star
You know,
Fox.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Star Fox was a
Fox.
great
Oh,
one.
yeah.
N64, yeah.
Hannah, what was your game?
Yeah.
Star Fox on GameCube.
GameCube.
Oh,
I have
okay.
a Game Boy.
Okay.
Game Boy. BJ was talking about this game. I don't know what it's called, but I remember being like 3 years old playing it. It was like a little dragon.
Spyro.
Spyro.
Spyro. I used to
Yeah.
play
Spyro.
that. I didn't know
Always
what I was
favorite, too.
doing, and then I also played Pokemon.
That
Oh,
also
everybody
Walk
plays
around as a little
Of course.
Pokemon.
Which one?
Anybody
Yellow
else?
or?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was
My
I was
kids-
actually not a big Pokemon. Everybody in the world played Pokemon.
I aged out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was right in that Target demo. I just never my dad was a PC guy. We never had systems. I'd always have to go to friends' houses to play. The first system I ever got
that's on brand.
personally was a Dreamcast that I bought myself.
Nice.
So I'd always have to go with my friend James across the street and play.
Chat's going crazy.
I just took my daughter out in a Pokemon card game this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I still,
Nice.
we're still keeping up on it. And she's got the Game Boy Color with her brother as well. Bronson does. So we,
All right.
we rock them.
We gotta get
Yeah, I
back to
didn't
it.
derail it this time.
Yep, you did.
It wasn't me.
Well,
Metroid, yeah, Spy Hunter. That was one of my favorite art,
Arcade?
addictinggames.com. Anybody
Yeah.
ever do that? And
Yeah.
then Spy Hunter was on there. It was a great arcade.
So I have
game.
that
Legend
signed.
of Zelda.
And something Gunn. I can't remember his first name, but the guy who did the music in that,
Oh,
who's
great.
like famous for doing movies too.
did you guys see this
Another
price
random-
action
Look at this.
after?
Look at this.
Pull up my
scam
screen real quick.
Yeah. What do we got?
Look
What
at
do we
this.
got?
Bitcoin.
So Bitcoin finally talked to me right before Pal started speaking. I put in a long right here. I sold it right here.
Hey,
And then, yeah, here we go. Just back to nothingness because he
Hell
really
yeah.
didn't say much, like that's what you have to keep into account is like they say that the recession's going to be avoided, even though it already happened. And the 2% inflation rate, that's going to take, how many years do you think it's going to take?
15.
Do you think 15 years to get the inflation rate down to 2%, their goal? I think it.
But a CDBC will happen before that, so it won't matter.
Well, they measure year over year and month over month. So 2 years,
Right.
But and they're really pushing that word disinflation now. We talked about that a little bit. I took way too big of a bite. Another problem of mine.
We're TJ. Apparently, we're missing a meeting.
Oh God.
I am?
Yeah, both of us.
I'm missing a meeting.
Yeah,
Missing a meeting.
yeah, we are.
Not on my calendar. My calendar's clean.
Oh
My God.
Ooh.
Check my calendar.
You can go if you need to.
Well, Ben is saying, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "I don't know where I'm going."
Yeah, I have no meeting on my calendar.
So I gotta get.
But yeah, you can go. I mean, you talked a lot enough already anyway.
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
Should I sit in the sexy seat with him?
You can do whatever you want, BJ.
Oh yeah,
I can't do whatever I want.
Lunch is good.
Last time I did that, the cops got called and you guys had a talk.
Oh yeah, the bot one.
That was bad.
That yeah.
do
All
it.
right, I do need to hit this story though. Bitcoin takes on lion's share because this was on the
I'll
thumbnail.
go. You stay.
Who liked the thumbnail, by the way? That was my idea.
Oh no, he took the picture away. It was a really good picture.
Oh yeah. I'll pull that one up
Bring it
again. I
back up.
loved it.
Yeah, pull it back up. It was my idea to do the
Look at
thumbnail.
this. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what?
That's
not
the
what I'm
good
talking
picture.
about.
That's the good picture right there. Look at it. And he
Hey,
does
that's
look
a
like
good looking
JT.
jersey. I don't know what you. I don't care what you say.
Here's the thumbnail. I'll pull it up,
Oh,
but
Oh yeah.
yeah. Here we go.
Let me see what they
The
did.
fuck is going on?
Move the box.
Yeah, move the box out of the way. You can
I'll
see
do it.
Bitcoin taking the lion's share, but we got Cardano and Ethereum right behind it. So this story shows Bitcoin takes lion's share as institutional inflows hit 7-month high. 117 million heads into crypto investment products in a single week. So this is good, seeing money flow coming back into Bitcoin. If you guys watch Frankie Candles a lot, or a lot of the trading channels, money flow obviously a big factor when we're talking about price action. So with the money flow coming back into Bitcoin, it can set us up for a new, a little bit more of a run up. That's what we're going to need, I feel like, to hit to some of these key levels. Rebounding 40% in January sparked the largest inflows of institutional cash since June 2022, the data shows. Institutions not sold on post-merge Ethereum, which again, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm intrigued. We do know there's a lot of institutions that are involved with it, but last week's U.S. bears seem to have changed their mind with 117 million inflows, including 26 million from United States. CoinShares wrote in a Twitter thread, this is a 3x amount from last week, and total assets under management has risen up to 28 billion, up 43% from the November 2022 lows. So we know there's TJ, surely you want a minimal black t-shirt with just a small ETH logo. Yeah, exactly. Just give me a little ETH right here.
in the merch channel.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So this is interesting. We know there's a lot of money sitting in stable coins, obviously waiting to flow back in, waiting for a confirmed uptrend. We'll see them as we hit certain key levels on the way up. But something to keep an eye on with new inflows coming into Bitcoin. Again, this doesn't surprise me at all when you get an inflow. Generally speaking, money is going to flow into Bitcoin and maybe even Bitcoin Ethereum at the same time before it filters down into other projects. We know institutions and big money, they feel safest in, Bitcoin because it has kind of cleared itself from the securities discussion. Ethereum and Bitcoin definitely have been stated as not a security at one point. Ethereum's still a little bit more up in the air, but Bitcoin has a lot of clearance in that regard.
Yep.
Multi-asset, this was a pretty good chart of the inflow. Multi-asset investment products saw outflows for the 9th consecutive week and totaling 6.4 million, which again, negligible in my opinion, suggesting investors are preferring select investments. So this is CoinShares weekly inflows and outflows. We can see this is 2022, 2023 week number. So this is more or less the back half of 2022. So that's why they're saying most inflows since this must have been around June. Then here we are, 53. This would have been, the beginning of the year. We're starting to see inflows, in a pretty significant margin.
So that spike up was June 2022,
I believe, which would have been right after the May dump.
right? That is so. Oh my
So
God.
like they dumped and smart money piled in, rode it all the way back up, and then started taking sell-offs. So this is something to keep an eye on. Inflows and outflows, definitely. Money flow matters, and again, that's why that if you use Market Cipher or the BitLab indicators, both of them show money flow kind of when it's coming in, when it's coming out, and you need, you can show it on different assets. Bitcoin generally speaking, the main one to keep an eye on, in my opinion. But obviously, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust traded at a 43% discount to the Bitcoin spot price. That's where a lot of the institutional money does flow into, just because of ease of access. That's something to keep an eye on. Institutions loving Bitcoin, but I feel like we've got a DeFi. Wow, look at that. Oh, gosh.
See, pineapple does
on
belong
pizza?
on pizza.
Oh, my
It's so
goodness, you
good.
guys.
Bullish.
This again.
Corey Harden dropping the pineapples. I shouldn't be surprised coming from you. There's a
overcook
lot
it
of
a little
backstory there, but
Whoa.
not that kind of
There's
backstory.
see,
I'm with you. I know where your brain goes. I just don't say it out loud.
Yeah.
I didn't for once either.
Yeah.
It's true.
For once.
So this is kind of the inverse to that, and this is something, it kind of comes back to the other conversation we were having. Multi-chain future is very clear. MetaMask to support all tokens via snaps. So we did cover, and I think we have a story in here about Uniswap. And was that you that shared the Uniswap A16Z potentially not blocking the Uniswap?
No, it wasn't me that posted it. Was it you, BJ?
Well, I posted that they did. Who supposedly owns that? I cannot remember the person's name.
Andreessen Horowitz?
Horowitz.
Yes.
There we
Yeah.
go.
That's what the that's what the A stands for.
I'm terrible at saying his name.
Yeah.
I just know they control 4%, which is enough to pass a vote. So-
Right, and so that's what I'm saying. I think we talked about that yesterday. They kind of blocked what was moving to other chains on Uniswap, but here it's very clear. Multi-chain future is very clear. MetaMask to support all tokens via snaps. They aim to facilitate a multi-chain future, allowing Ethereum-based wallet service to support non-native blockchain and tokens for Web3. Again, not too surprising considering they do have bridges to other things. So MetaMask has historically been an Ethereum wallet. We need to start moving beyond that. The multi-chain future is very clear. Snaps aims to create a permissionless ecosystem where developers can extend MetaMask in a way they want. Jupiter says the team is trying to create an environment where developers can use various applications, program interfaces, APIs from different blockchains to bring additional options to users and core wallet
Weren't we
experience.
also talking the other day that MetaMask is not a wallet and it's more an avenue into a wallet?
It's just an access point.
But what is the actual wallet?
It's the seed phrase on the block. The seed phrase gives you access to the block.
Okay, so it still is. But
It is a wallet, but most
technically-
people are interacting with the browser extension.
Okay, copy.
And there is a difference between the extension and the actual wallet. But MetaMask itself, yes, is a wallet. You can run it on many different. You don't have to just use it as a browser extension.
I use it.
We've used it a lot here. We've used it over the years. If you've done a lot of DeFi related stuff, it's just so much easier on MetaMask, and it's really through Uniswap, the decentralized exchange, because so many things get listed there. So MetaMask and Uniswap do have a very closely tied relationship. Used to be now Uniswap swapping is built right into the MetaMask interface. It didn't always work that way. It used to be you'd have a MetaMask, you'd actually have to go to Uniswap and do the swap yourself, and then you'd see it show up there, and then they built it to where oh, hey, you can just build it right in, which is a pretty cool feature that they added. Then they started adding other chains to bridge over to and all that sort of stuff. But
does anybody actually use that in the building? I personally connect to the DEX.
I've
never done
I've used it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of. I'm sure
because doesn't it search a bunch of different DEXs to find you good rates?
It does.
Yeah.
It's a DEX aggregator basically.
I use it all the time actually. Now to think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, it's going to search Uniswap 1inch, a handful of other ones, but generally speaking, it's probably making the swap on Uniswap because that's where the most liquidity is. And Ralphie's ready for some card tricks, Mr. Jesus, sir.
It will eventually happen. Yeah. I'll have a card trick stream.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. I read that already. Technically, it's possible for us to incorporate all of them. I'm sure there's going to be an edge case. We have managed to extend Bitcoin, managed to extend Starknet, so it should be possible with any of them. As Jupiter explains, MetaMask has already created Bitcoin Snap that allows users to interact with its protocol from from the wallet extension. So that's what we were talking about there, the extension, not necessarily the wallet. Basically means that you don't need to go anywhere else, and MetaMask can almost be the core of your Web3 experience. That's what they're going for. This is a big part of what we're going for as well with Vumio, the NFT platform. And again, when I say we're invested in it. We're operating a lot of the IP. Justin Williams is the CEO of that, and it's basically what we're trying to do is create an all-in-one Web3 experience, multi-chain. We're not, a lot of other people are trying to solve this as well. The space is extremely fragmented right now. You have to go here for Cardano NFTs. You have to go here for Ethereum NFTs. You got to go here for Binance NFTs, Solana NFTs, different wallets, different chains, different websites. So more and more people are going to be trying to fix that user experience and bring everything all into one place to make it easier. Because general everyday, imagine if, I wanted to go buy things on, and that's basically what Amazon did. They put everything all in one place to make it easy for people. So your online shopping, you're doing through Amazon, you're doing through your, a handful of marketplaces. A lot of people use Facebook Marketplace. There's a handful of marketplaces. Generally speaking, the market will settle on 3 to 5 major favorites across any niche or industry. So the more you can kind of roll all that into one place, and again, multi-chain interoperability, all these sorts of things has been something people have been trying to solve for a long time. It's going to be what continues to grow the adoption as the user experience gets better.
Right.
People aren't as afraid of losing. We use that example the other day. Like if you had to be afraid that every time you swiped your debit card, you might lose everything in your account, like that would be a pretty big incentive for people not to use debit or credit cards. And so until we start to solve some of those problems with user interfaces, user experience, it's going to take a while for the adoption to happen. And that goes across every niche, across every chain, across every use case. And we're way better today than we were in 2017 when I started getting involved, 2015 or 2012 when a lot of other people, like the user experience is getting dramatically better every day, but that's a slow improving process. And like I mentioned, when Uniswap happened, that was a big breakthrough. When MetaMask came out, that actually was a big, kind of notch up on the adoption curve because it did make things a lot easier. So, we'll have to continue to see those things
improve. Have you
guys
seen that Barry, who actually is the creator of Nami Wallet and a big Cardano whale, and a couple other people have been complaining a lot about JPEG Store, that because they have no competition, they really haven't been doing anything. The development's been crap. It did it super well early 2021. So
competition is very same complaint for OpenSea. They've made way too much money, way too fast, and they still are. They have no incentive to onboard smaller projects, help new creators, and really push and grow and innovate in the space right now. As far as I see, like the user experience on OpenSea has been terrible. That's part of what incentivized other of these new up and comers like Vumio to say, like, you know what, we can actually provide a little bit of support. We can make a better experience. We can answer your question within a day about what happened to you. You get a real person responding to you in a chat or maybe even on the phone. And that's always what happens. Free market. When a company stagnates, it leaves room for innovation, and whether there's innovation, you can see growth. Where you see growth, you see incentives, and so goes the free market. So
the free market's where it's at, man. Like I got in a governmental argument about name one country with a perfect government and all this stuff. It's like governments aren't here to create items; they just regulate. And when you have a creative environment, a free market environment, it creates that competition. It drives that innovation at high speed. And, now that we've seen all Walkmans compete, turn into MP3s, turn into streaming services now Spotify and these clouds, it moves super quick. And the interoperability conversation, I feel like, is in that same position where a lot of people say it's not going to happen in the short term. We'll never see it in 10 years. Just watch. This stuff is learning super quick. It's able to move a lot faster than we can think again. And it's going to be here probably by 2026, 2027, I could see music interoperability. You're going to have different brands hooked up to the same access points, and you're not going to have to go into a different wallet to play a different song. It's going to move seamlessly across, just like how Spotify does now. So it's definitely coming. So don't discount it.
Yeah, I agree. And then this is another story that kind of backs that up. DeFi protocols unite to promote permissionless Web3 experiences. The collaboration of over 30 DeFi projects is an effort to counteract the negative sentiments built in 2022 due to numerous CeFi ecosystem crashes. And again, this,
I'm here for it.
In my opinion, is part of what's really going to drive the next market, because DeFi experience has gotten way better. The products are getting way better. And when we just saw the pain that comes from centralized finance, when you have insolvent exchanges kind of out here gallivanting like they are doing good when they're just wasting everybody's money. For 24 hours from February 6th to 7th, over 30 DeFi protocols joined in an initiative to permissionlessly share tweets from other protocols, thus highlighting the permissionless and interoperability nature of Web3. Projects participating in this campaign include Yearn Finance, MakerDAO, SushiSwap, Aave, among others. I'm sure, I don't know if Curve would be in there, but a lot of those protocols you guys, I'm sure, have heard of before if you've engaged with DeFi. And to me, this is very bullish, as in part of why I see DeFi, whether it's on Ethereum, whether it's on Cardano. Obviously a lot of these are based on Ethereum just because it's been around the longest. MakerDAO, one of the first, not one of the first DAOs, but one of the first notable DAOs doing really interesting things in DeFi, creating their own stable coin. And, a lot of what they do is trend setting. It's kind of like, when it comes to DAOs, when it comes to DeFi. So again, another one to keep an eye on. Not necessarily, it can be a great investment. It did extremely well over the last bear market. I remember watching, that's when it really started to get my attention, is like, man, this Maker token is really outperforming the market because they were doing and implementing and creating new things in a new ecosystem. And again, it was ahead of its time and ahead of the curve for a lot of people. No pun intended with curve, but they were literally ahead of the curve. So and now we've got a lot more DeFi things out there. So again, Bitcoin going to take the lion's share. DeFi up and coming, and is a very relevant and applicable and positive use case for blockchain. Whatever the Bitcoin maximalists say, it's a good thing, that DeFi exists on Ethereum. So don't let them tell you otherwise. Not everything that exists on Ethereum is necessarily a positive thing. Not everything that exists on every chain is a positive thing. Now Bitcoiners, Bitcoin maximalists can relate.
Except Cardano. Everything's great.
BJ's a Cardano maxi, but no,
I'm a Cardano rightsy, meaning I'm correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds very maxi to me. Jared Gray, the CEO of SushiSwap, said DeFi is being built to challenge the current status quo of known financial frameworks, which historically create barriers and reduce economic freedoms. We've seen that time and time again. Leveraging the composability of the new technology, we can democratize and provide more equitable, safer, and transparent financial tools and products to reach a global audience. In my opinion, that's a big part of what crypto is all about. Banking the unbanked, providing economic inclusion for a lot of people that have been excluded due to financial incentives. Now, anywhere in the world, if you have an internet connection, you can take part in the global economy. Like I've said, this is going to take a long time for the effects to really play out, but it definitely will have a positive effect for humanity, in my opinion.
Yep. And like the escape in inflation situations that you ran, like Turkey and the 90% inflation. Now on top of it, prayers for everyone in there. Now they have a ×3 natural disaster that hit everyone within the last day. So prayers out for Turkey, but it's, hopefully that there's some people within that economic system that were able to house their money away from the inflation and be able to be in a lot better financial position to rebuild right now because of housing their money outside of that fiat currency. And that's a lot of the value I see in this technology as well. It's just escaping and not being kind of a pawn for their Federal Reserve or, central bank moves, being completely at the beck and call of your government. Whenever they say your value is going down, you can actually escape that now with this tech. So
yeah, and speaking of inclusion versus exclusion, this is just something I thought was interesting. Human living standards is a first order derivative of both the production and consumption of energy. There's literally no such thing as the low energy rich countries. Yep. So if you look at this graph here, you can see the energies that produce and consume the most energy are up here in the richest countries. The countries that don't consume and don't produce a lot of energy are down here in the poorest of all countries.
Dumb question. Why is Norway all the way up there?
It is interesting,
is that
right?
from production?
They have strong production and low consumption. Mm-hmm. It is interesting.
But where do they produce?
Well, this is about energy.
I know. That's what I'm asking.
I think they have a lot of.
Let's find out.
Like, is this exports or just in general? Sorry, I'm asking.
No, I think it's in general. I think it's in general. Just but they're not. I think the dot represents the or not.
Well, it's mostly hydro.
Hydro. That's what I was gonna say. A lot of water. Yeah. They have very clean energy. I know that much.
Mostly
there's a lot
hydro.
of Bitcoin miners out there.
Yep.
And that's what's interesting when it comes to Bitcoin mining. Like a lot of people would tell you, if you've ever heard the thing, wealth isn't ever transferred, it's just stored. It's never created or destroyed, it's just stored. And a lot of people say store of value or store of wealth is really just stored up energy. And you can kind of see that dictated here with energy. Bitcoin really is energy. It's turning energy into dollars. which is what we had that. Like we've talked about Bob Hughes that's been here last week. That's basically what he said. What he does is he converts energy into coins. And we can see energy does translate into a lot of different things. That's why they police it so heavily. That's why they try to control it so much, because they know energy is value in a lot of different ways. So those who have energy, those who create it, those who produce it, and those who consume it, definitely have the most. And it was interesting. Like you hear so much about, United States energy consumption. China, obviously way bigger, India, way bigger, a lot of other ones, Indonesia, Egypt, Dominican Republic, kind of an interesting one. I don't know which dot belongs to it. It's got, I would imagine it's one of these smaller ones, but Brazil, Mexico.
What's under the M?
Yeah.
This one here.
And Norway is mostly water or hydro. So.
Yeah, Norway is hydro. Yeah.
Let's see. I
don't know. I have no idea what this random dot is out here. So anyway, this was just, it was, I don't know.
That's one of the islands that got removed from Google Maps.
No, it's Pluto, bro.
I don't know a lot of the details. I just did think it was interesting. Like you don't see any of these countries that are low energy, high up. There's nothing in this region over here, low energy, but wealthy. So it is a direct correlation between energy and wealth.
Well, for Cardano going for Ethiopia, it's interesting to see where that's based off of that list as well, via consumption and production.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. Where is Ethiopia?
Basically 100 and 100.
100 and
on the
1,000 or 100? No, right here.
Oh
yeah,
all the way down there.
Yeah, well, and again, that's a lot of these African countries. That's why they are on. A lot of their people, a lot of their population isn't banked because there's not a lot of incentive to do so because there's not a lot of money there. And that's what I like about Cardano. That's what I like about DeFi. It flattens this model and it brings financial inclusion to everyone in the world. Just like the internet flattened the information model. Nope.
God,
DeFi will.
I got excited.
DeFi will flatten the financial model, and once the people that controlled all the information lost control of the information, that's why we see a lot more independent. Believe it or not, you do see a lot more independent thought today than you did even. Like I was going to say 30 years ago, but I was thinking in the 80s, and in my mind that should be, I guess it's close to 30 years ago, late 80s,
they
90s,
live.
35 years ago, I guess I should say, but now the information transfers a lot faster because of social media, because of things like Twitter, because of things like the internet that didn't exist back then. Really, people did used to have to rely on mainstream news, mainstream media for all their information.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, exactly. Which again, talk about, centralized. You got one person, basically deciding what goes into the encyclopedia that everybody,
the Rockefellers. Sorry, I coughed.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
I didn't say
another
the other
buzzword that you can't say anywhere, but.
But based off that consumption chart, now granted, Raspberry Pis are difficult to get right now, but again, me being a Cardano maxi, like that's the awesome thing is like if you have low consumption and kind of low access to tech, it's like Raspberry Pi is a relatively accessible item to be able to have a computer to do everything. Now, you can't quite run nodes on them anymore. Early on, let's say like 2020, you could definitely be a stake pool operator running those, but now like you're gonna kind of have to build them together since you're looking at like 8 CPU cores, and honestly, like you want like 32 gigs of RAM, whereas like Raspberry Pis, I think the maximum one is an 8 or maybe a 4. But nonetheless, like a lot of these things, like I'm interested in a lot of that tech and seeing what chains can build off of those.
Exactly, very simple tech, very inexpensive tech. I mean, even in the most basic an Android smartphone, they're all over Africa, and they're very cheap to get out there. And now again, this is something that really blew my mind. Andreas Antonopoulos said it. Now, when a $50 Android smartphone lands in a village in Africa, it doesn't give access for each person to have their own bank account. It makes it possible for each person in that village to be their own bank, because you can put as many wallets as you want on there. You can actually interact with global economy. You just like it used to, revolutionize. Hey, a phone, we have access to the internet here. We know how to farming methods and also, agricultural methods. It would just immediately revolutionize the information they had. Same thing happens with financial inclusion. And it's going to take a while for this stuff to take hold, but it's going to have a massive network effect. It's actually going to explode at some point. And we've been seeing it obviously taking off in the last, 10, 15 years that Bitcoin's been around. That's why it's been one of the best performing assets in human history, in my human history, at least. I don't know. I'm sure there's been other things, but the whole time I've been alive, nothing's performed like this.
Slightly off topic, but speaking of being self-sovereign, Rug Gang talking about their Pi hole, that is a way, like with most VPNs that you get, like they still are probably selling your data.
Yeah.
But grabbing a Pi hole, like literally you grab a Raspberry Pi 4, throw that on there, set up your network and everything else, but like you're the only one that controls your network and you control your VPN. Same thing if you want to run cameras and things through that. So
There you
I know
go.
that's a little bit off topic, but when we're talking about security and things like that,
No.
why people don't run Pi holes, I don't know.
There you go. Real quick before we wrap up, just wanted you guys to leave you with a little meme action here. Just in, new FTX CEO John Ray was paid
Can we get a nice?
No, $690,000 for his first week on the job. It's not a bad week. Not a bad week.
Nice.
Hope he bought some Bitcoin with some of that money, but I don't know.
Some
Not
actual
through
Bitcoin,
FTX, but
not the synthetic kind they sold before.
yeah, exactly.
Got
Some
'em.
real Bitcoin. So, and then we need to wrap up, but I'll tease you guys with a little bit tomorrow. I know we've got Bank of America CEO says the company is preparing for potential U.S. debt defaults. I think we
Nice.
covered this one. Yeah, we covered that.
Nice.
So yeah, that's all we have time for today. We love all of you guys. If you're on YouTube, give us a like, give us a sub, give us a follow. We are rating Hit Network Gaming if they're on. That'd be great.
Oh yeah.
I think they're playing. They might be. Oh, they're playing the Harry Potter game. Which oh my god, it looks so awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm so jealous of Joel right now. For here, can we go back to full screen so I can change this stuff around?
Oh god, buttons. How do I do this? How do I
Because
live my life?
that new Harry Potter game looks super fun. I haven't
He's
played the game
decked
in a
out
long
for
time.
it. He got already. He's decked out.
I
He
know.
looks like a
He's a little
Hogwarts.
wizard. Yeah, he's a wizard.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
ready for it.
You're a Potter, Harry.
Wait, no, that's not how that went.
No,
Never
that's
mind.
not it. But yeah, are we ready?
Yeah, we're
Can we
ready.
say goodbye?
Okay, bye.
I love all you.
Alright.
Well, I gotta read the. All right, bye
Guys.
guys. I love you. Casino
Okay.
Doggy, Sub Method, Crypto Tony, Corvette Threes, Manawak, Bud Lightyear, Corey Harden, Dude, what does mine say? Big Hands Dan, Crimson Caravan Company, Miami Alpha, Crypto Sub Method. Have fun hanging out with Joel.
Goodbye.
Play some